So it says find the measure of the arc or angle indicated. If it looks like it's a tangent, we can assume it's a tangent. So again, this now gets us into the back side of our chart. All the different angles depending on where they're located in the shape. Now, technically, this angle E in number 15 is right on the circle. So when the angle is on the circle, this is actually an inscribed angle then. So that means it goes with this arc. And if they want the measure of the arc indicated, it doesn't really, oh, they want this one over here. So we'll figure out this one first. What do I know about the arc from E to D? They're telling me that little angle is 60. So what do I know about the arc? Multiply by 2. So this little arc here is going to be 120. If I know that all the way around the circle is 360, so to figure out this unknown, I'm going to do 360 minus 120. You could have also figured out that this angle over here, if this is 60, this adds up to 180. So this would be 120 over here, and then you could double it to find the arc. So there's a few different ways to go about doing that. A lot of these questions, I apologize, they're probably going to be right or wrong. Like either you know the rule or you don't. So just make sure you guys are checking over your rules, and again, using that chart is going to be really helpful. So this next one, again, the angle is on the circle, so we call it inscribed. That means it goes with that arc. So if you know the angle, the arc is going to be what compared to it? Double. So think about the arc is bigger than the angle. It's probably different than you expect it to be. All right, our next couple are the other two types that we had with this. This first one, the angle's inside the shape, but it's not a central angle. It's not, they don't tell us what the center is. So we have a formula for these next couple here. So the formula in this case is half still, but in this case, I always think of it this way. It's again on your chart, but I think about inside the shape, it kind of looks like a plus sign. So that means we're going to add the two arcs that go with this angle. So this angle is associated with these two arcs. So that angle is going to be half of those two arcs added together. So again, finding that formula on your chart and knowing how to use it. So I have to add those together first and then take half of it. Yeah, 119. So watching out for these situations when they come up. All right. Our next one, the vertex is outside this shape. So in this case, well, this one's a little bit trickier. So we're looking for this x. They don't give us this one though either. So the formula we're using in this case is that the angle, I'm going to say angle 1, is half of the two arcs subtracted. So it's big arc minus little arc. Now the big arc, or the little arc is x. If I don't know what the big arc is, how could I represent it using x? Anyone have an idea? So let's say I don't know what it is. Let's say this was 40. How would I figure out the rest of it? So yeah, so we're going to call this 360 minus x. Does that make sense? So the big way around is going to be 360 minus x. This is definitely a tougher question. So I have 45 equals half of 360 minus x. But then I still need to subtract off this x as well, minus the little arc. So again, this is my big arc, and then that's my little arc. Now negative x minus x is a negative 2x. Now I'm going to get rid of that 40, or I'm going to get rid of the half. I'm going to multiply each side by 2. I'm going to move that 360 over. Can you stop the clicking, please? And then I'm going to divide by 2. So we find out that x value is 135 after all that. So that was a pretty elaborate question, definitely a tougher question, so probably not going to be a ton like that if there was any at all. So just know that. All right. So the next couple are very similar to those, where again the vertex is inside and then outside the shape. So again, inside is where I add the two together and take half of it. But now this time they're telling me the angle to begin with. So they're telling me 84, so I know the angle. It's going to be half of the two arcs added together. Now, I don't like that half there, so I'm going to get rid of it and multiply it over to the other side. So again, I'm going to multiply by 2. So this is going to become 168. And then I'm going to move the 108 over. And again, we're finding an angle, so make sure, or not an angle, we're finding an arc. So it ends up being 60 degrees in this case. This is probably a more typical problem with the angle outside the shape. So we're looking, this time they know angle 40. So we know 40 degrees is going to be half of the two angles, or the two arcs subtracted. Big arc is 124, minus the little arc is our unknown, our x. I like getting rid of that half right away. I feel like a broken record saying that over again. So I double the other side. So x ends up being 44. All right, our next few rules all go with the next set of things on our chart. It's all about the segments in this case. So now we're looking down again. Sorry about them being really small. I gotta enlarge them for next year. All right. So these two chords intersect inside the shape. And again, these are really similar to ones you guys had on your scrimmage. So we take the one chord and we multiply the pieces together. So I do 9 times x. And it's going to equal the other chord multiplied together. So 10 times 18. Now this is not degrees. This is talking about a segment length. So please do not use degrees if it's not an angle or an arc. So this is talking about a segment length that shouldn't be degrees. Our next one is a tangent line with a secant. So if you guys recall, the tangent line is the 12 that gets squared, And then we take the outside and multiply it by the whole thing. So in this case, you just want to be careful. We do 8 plus x, not 8 times x. And we square the tangent. I'm going to move that 64 back over. Get 80 then. And again, there should be no degrees here because those are segments.
Cannot fly.
Okay, so our next one here, again, we take the pieces and multiply them together. Ooh, I don't think we actually can do this one.
Yeah,
This one, we end up having a factor, so we're going to skip this one. Sorry, didn't realize that. We don't need a factor. I won't be testing you on something like that, so we'll skip it. All right, but here we can do these. So the little outside piece, but careful, it gets multiplied by the whole piece. So that's x plus 3 plus 8, so that's going to be x plus 11. Then the other way is going to be 7, and then again the whole thing is x plus 14. 7 and 7. So now I'm going to distribute. I'm going to move that 7x over. Oh, 14 times 7 is not 28. Should be something bigger than 28.
98.
Thank you.
No problem.
I did 14 times, or 7 times 4. Slightly off. I was trying to figure out why it would be a decimal. So we subtract and we find out x is 10 after all that. All right. Our last thing here before we do our notes quiz, again, we'll do notes quiz and then the homework again is on the front side of your sheet, just because of space-wise. I had to fit it there. So our last one here is our equation of our circle, and we're going to be able to graph our circle based off of our equation, and it says to name the center and radius and then graph the circle. Now remember, the center is h and k. So what's the center in this case? 2 and then 0. So remember, the h and k always look like they're the opposite of what it looks like. So 2, 0 is our center. So 2, 0 would be over here. And then our radius, r squared is 12. So what would I do to figure out what r is?
Square.
Square root it. So the square root of 12 is going to be like 3 point something. And this is okay. Don't think you're wrong just because it's a decimal. It's 3.5-ish. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to count out 3.5 in each direction. And then we're going to draw our circle. All right. And then once you guys turn in your notes quiz, I do have a sheet that has some graph paper for you guys for your homework. I believe you only have 2 graphs for the homework. You don't have a ton of them, but so notes quiz, remember, is open notes. Bezonia, I'm going to send, Michael, I'm going to send some back for Bezonia and Amanda.
You have to go through my binder. Oh.